In hot, yellow Africa, more exactly in the southernmost part of it, one day a story happened. All crocodiles were hunted to extinction. Then, after the crocodiles, the fish vanished as well, which led to hunger in the villages that lived on the fishing. It turned out that the crocodiles regulated the number of large predatory fish. When the regulator vanished, the predatory fish ate away all potential prey first, and then they ate each other. In nature, everything is connected with such invisible threads. Bacteria with algae, algae with fungi, fungi with plants, plants with animals. There's no organism on this earth that is odd in this connection. You only have to go a few miles away from any city to make sure of it. In the days of ancient scientists, there were only two kingdoms: the animal kingdom and the plant kingdom. Then Leeuwenhoek invented the microscope and the third kingdom appeared, the kingdom of bacteria. A little more time passed and scientists separated fungi in an independent kingdom. Perhaps neither plants nor animals pose so many questions to researchers. It's no coincidence that fungi are surrounded by so many legends, mystic prejudices, and superstitions. For example, sometimes fruit bodies of the mycelium form an ideal circle, sometimes several circles inscribed in each other. People call such phenomenon witches' circles. There was a belief in ancient pagan times that if you sit down in the very center of the witch's circle and make a wish, it will certainly come true. And we have only one wish: to understand the wisdom of the universe, to understand how all living organisms in this biocenosis are connected with invisible threads. It was among fungi that truly mysterious organisms were discovered, slime molds. At a certain phase of their development, they become a plasmodium, a shapeless jelly-like body. The most incredible thing is that such jelly-like organisms can not only move, but also make decisions on its own, though it has nothing like a brain. It can even engulf single-celled organisms. In other words, it's a predator. I wonder if there are slime molds here. There are so many fragments of rotten trees there.
It's quite dry here. They were found in other places. Besides, this thing is smart. It can move both inside and outside of the substrate. It's quite difficult to find. We need damper, deciduous forests, for example.
We'll find it.
Yes.
Formerly, slime molds were included in the fungi kingdom. Now they belong to a separate group of fungus-like organisms. I would like to find these mysterious myxomycetes in our Moscow forest, one of the slime mold species that can be met in such damp places. We rely very much on the help of school students who do fieldwork under the aegis of the Zoology Museum of Moscow State University. Many of them have already come here in Karmanova, so they know very well the local flora and fauna. But yet, we haven't got to the camp yet, and we hope to come across some careless slime molds. Wait! The snake, right hand, look out.
The snake is not interesting for us now.
What? Look how beautiful it is, a black one.
That's what we were looking for.
Ah, the snake is keeping watch over a slime mold.
That's a slime mold, the very same thinking organism that can't be classified strictly. It's unclear if it's an animal, a plant, or a fungus.
It's a mysterious life form.
Myxomycetes are the separate type now.
Even the type.
The type, Myxomycetes. Okay, let's take it with us.
What shall we do with the snake? Will we leave it?
Yes, leave it alone. Don't touch it.
Well, don't even think about it. Close your mouth and don't even think about it. Oleg, it's a delicate creature, isn't it?
Yes, it's very delicate. This phase is called phaneroplasmodium.
Ah, is the key word phanera?
The key word is plasmodium.
The plasmodium. The nature here in Karmanova is generous everywhere. That's a perfect place for a school or university fieldwork. There is a river on one side, a field on the other, and a forest as well. And behind the forest, there is a picturesque bog. It's very interesting to find out how all organisms of these different biological systems are related to each other. Only having realized such complicated interconnections do you begin to understand that there are no pests or hazardous organisms. Even if they bring harm to us, people, it doesn't mean that they don't benefit other organisms. For example, a spruce bark beetle that destroyed all spruce forests around Moscow. Well, it's almost become a popular scarecrow. In fact, a spruce bark beetle does not deal death or destruction. On the contrary, it creates housing, a nutritive base for other living organisms. Take fungi, for example. They have grown on a dead tree. They need rotten wood. They could never grow on a living resinous tree. You can't imagine what is there inside the bark. Oh, you'll see that this feast, fir tree feast, has attracted other living beings. Take, for example, longhorn beetles' larvae. They are really snappish, and their jaws are really strong. So I'm not going to hold them in my hand long. In this stage, longhorn beetles' larvae live for several years, and only then, when a longhorn beetle becomes the imago, it will live no more than a few weeks. Thus, if the fir tree was not killed by a spruce bark beetle, it wouldn't rot and become a nutritious substrate for fungi and spruce bark larvae. A woodpecker will come to pick the larvae, and a hawk will catch the woodpecker. Well, in short, that's an endless story. So even dead trees benefit a lot of living creatures. Jeez! Oh, oi, 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 oi! I'm sorry, guys. I hope your anthill was insured. By the way, that's a dead Polyporus ignatius. It was dead long ago, yet it became perfect housing for ants. They made holes there, as well as halls and arches. Really good housing. It's not hot in summer or cold in winter. That's no problem. They will quickly carry their eggs to a safe place and rebuild their anthill. Ants are great craftsmen. Ants belong to the order Hymenoptera, along with the related wasps, bees, and bumblebees. As well as wasps and bees, ants have a sting. They use this sting in close-in combat. What if an enemy is at a distance, like I am now? Then shooter ants appear on the scene. Look how it happens. I stretch out my hand over the anthill, and I can already feel the spray of acid. Each ant transforms into an accurate living cannon. Now I can lick my hand. Yummy! Oh, it's really acid, in fact. There won't be another take, as my pants are full of ants. We're going further on. This summer is really good for mushrooms. Yet, in the first place, we are not interested in mushrooms which attract quiet hunt fans. Well, of course, when I see a solid, non-wormy porcino, my heart starts beating. Well, nothing can be done about that. This must be a primeval instinct. By the way, have you ever thought why names of mushrooms usually contain names of plants in them? A birch bolete, an orange birch bolete, a lurid bolete, a velvet bolete, slippery jacks. That's why mushrooms live in close symbiotic relations with trees and shrubs and can be found under them only. So how many mushrooms are here? 1, 2? No, that's one mushroom. And these 1 and 2 are only the fruit bodies of one big organism. We may find the third one or a fourth one as well. The organism itself is under the ground. For many, many yards does it stretch its thin filaments under the ground, its hyphae. And of course, this organism lives in close symbiosis with other plants. First of all, firs. Mysterious slime molds also have fruit bodies where spores are produced. Well, we've reached our destination. Student assistants and their teachers live in the house, and we decided to set up our camp in the yard, not to disturb their studies. The first animal willing to get on screen came to our camp itself. At one time, only one lizard lived here, a viviparous lizard. Then they dug the Volga-Moscow Canal, And another lizard, a sand lizard, came along the canal from the south to live here. It's bigger and more aggressive than a viviparous lizard. Of course, it drove its younger sister away from its familiar spots. Well, now they have divided their spheres of influence as follows. The aggressive and nimble sand lizard reigns everywhere, while the viviparous lizard stays near houses. By the way, that's the favorite prey of the beautiful viper we met near the slime mold, as you may remember. And its discourteous relative, a sand lizard, stays away from people's houses. Well, let's get back to what this beautiful snake was keeping watch over. Here it is, our trophy, our slime mold. We are giving to the reliable hands of our colleagues. And Tatiana will now tell us what it will have to go through.
This slime mold is in plasmodium phase. These plasmodia show positive rheotaxis, which means it can orient itself to swim into the current flow direction.
Tatiana is showing us how we can make a most simple working model of a current flow. The flow will be slow, of course, yet it will be enough to make our slime mold move.
We pour a full bath of water and put filter paper there. Water flows very well down it.
Ah, that will be our flow, right?
Yes.
That's our flow. Water will go down this paper. That's our river.
The water will start flowing.
Uh-huh.
And all this must be pressed against the slime mold so that it could understand where the flow is and its direction.
And what will happen to it? What will it do?
If everything is okay, it is to go in the current flow direction.
Ah, so it understands that the water is coming from above. It's humid there, it's good.
Yes.
And I need to go there, right? Of course, the slime mold is moving really slowly, much slower than the hand of a clock. And our eye won't be able to trace this movement. Yet it is moving. It is making a decision on where to go depending on the external factors. And that's amazing. Sometimes tiny creatures have to overcome vast, giant distances. We've found a most unusual harbor for living aircrafts. Yet the smell of rotten meat it emits is so strong that to be near it is a real torture. And that's a rare find. A fungus, a dog stinkhorn. Do you know why its fruit bodies are so brightly colored? It's like indicator lights of an airport. The fungus propagates with the help of flies. They feel this intolerable stench and fly to find the source of it. And when they come here, to this thick cloud of the odor, other receptors switch on. The fly sees bright red lights and knows where to land. This airport can accommodate a lot of living airplanes at the same time. Well, really tiny airplanes. Look at the strips on the flower's labium. These are the real runway center lines, the flagging. They show pollinating insects where they must land to taxi to the edge of the flower, to the sweet nectar. At the same time, the plane will be covered in pollen. Many orchids have flowers like that, not only orchis. These beautiful northern orchids were once called orchis. Yet, about 15 to 20 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, clarifications were made and now they are called dactylorhiza. Why are they called so? We'll dig out the truth, literally and figuratively. We won't be able to do it with clean hands, yet to get at the truth, you can get a bit dirty. We've taken it out now. Look here. Almost every terrestrial orchid has two reservoirs of nutritive substances. One dies out every year, and the second performs its functions. Most often, these tubers in orchids are round like balls, while in orchis, they are spindle-shaped. In fact, they are finger-shaped. Well, we've dug out the very truth. Now we can get back to the root of the matter. This part of rootstock is called a pseudobulb. That's where the fungus lives. Well, the fungus lives next to it, in the soil, and all the soil is pierced with very thin hyphae. Well, we'll take this orchid home to the lab, to the camp, dissect it, and see the fungus under a microscope. The fungus and the orchid are such good friends, they cannot live separately. The mycelium absorbs the substances gathered by the plant from the soil, which it cannot get itself, and the plant in its turn gets what the fungus is able to extract and process. They literally grow into each other. So close their friendship is. Here you can see the hyphae of the mycelium which penetrates into the orchid's flesh. Wow, the hyphae is inside.
Yes, it penetrates into the cell.
It's inside.
Here we see examples of one of the two types of fungus root. That's endomycorrhiza or internal mycorrhiza, as fungi penetrate the root cells, growing as coils. Here we can see coils in the form of bubbles. You can see like a cluster of grapes in the cell.
We're talking of the things which are dozens of times thinner than a human hair, right?
Yes, right.
Well, it turns out that most plants on Earth can live and coexist with fungi alone.
Yes, in fact, 90% of all flowering plants can live only under the condition of interaction with fungi.
Do you mean to say that we're only starting to understand the wisdom of this friendship?
Yes.
Between the plant kingdom and the fungi kingdom.
And
maybe some other kingdom we don't know anything about yet.
Of course. For example, we know very little about bacteria, yet plants also interact with them. Yes, it's a different story.
Yeah, amazing. It turns out that every living being on the planet performs its own function written in the stars. Everything is taken into account in this great Genesis scenario, and there is only one actor who tends to forget his words and starts doing the things which don't fit into the plot, a human being. We selfishly think only about ourselves. We act upon our own vested interests. We place tags on subjects of natural kingdoms, a pest, a weed, a hazardous animal, a useful plant, a medicinal herb. Yet in fact any organism, any ecosystem, any biotope which we abhor is simply not known or incomprehensible to us. The bog is a big community of various living organisms, bacteria, lichens, mosses, fungi, various plants and animals. And each bog is a bank, a repository of moisture. Moisture is not only preserved here, but also filtered. The water is decontaminated and becomes really pure. The best water filter in the world is peat moss. Guarantee of quality. Don't believe me? See for yourself. I won't even say goodbye to you, just in case, or make a will. The very word bog sounds negative. It's something damp, disgusting, dangerous. How many misconceptions are reflected in different names? Gulls were the last species we expected to see in a blog.
A common gull is quite a big bird, bigger than a crow. And I guess it's mostly a wood gull. It can nest in small forest bogs, in waterlogged bottom lands in the forest. As it's a wood gull, it feels comfortable on treetops and sometimes it even nests there. Despite the fact that a common gull is nothing unusual in the Moscow region, we mustn't forget its nesting spots are limited in our country and need to be protected. That's why a common gull is on the list of endangered species of the Moscow region.
Yet, a usual inhabitant of swamps, a carnivorous plant, is cunningly hiding from us somewhere. Though, it can be found only in the most dangerous area of a swamp. In the marsh. Whoops! Look what we have here. Yeah, I need to get there somehow. Whoops! Okay, here it is. A real beauty. And moreover, it's blooming. Can you imagine? Andre, how did it become carnivorous? Was it in dire straits?
Yes, well, because of weediness, there is a lot of peat moss here, so it feels the lack of nitrogen and compensates it by eating various living creatures.
Friends, don't forget that many great rivers have their origins in swamps. The Volga River, to say nothing of the great Slavic river, Dnieper, has its origin in a swamp. So, don't look down your nose at swamps. Ouch, 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 ouch. Things are not going our way. Guys, what are you waiting for? Jeez. Whoa. That's funny. We are used to contrasting a river with a swamp. Flowing against stagnant, transparent against muddy, clean against dirty, fresh against damp. But there are strong invisible connections which unite all organisms into a single truly complex system. Oleg, now I do understand the ancient people who settled on riverbanks. Rivers were like roads for them. It's hard to force your way through shrubs or forests, right?
Sasha, you know, not only for the people, animals also settle along rivers. The northern ones move southward, the southern ones move northward.
Like that, because first, the river creates another microclimate, humid microclimate, where there is always grass, where there is always generous fare.
Yes.
I mean, things are humming on riverbanks. That's a colony of sand martins. That's a small settlement, something like a riverbank village. If the riverbanks are cliffed and high, there form whole towns which house hundreds and thousands of birds.
It's quite unpresentable in contrast to its relatives. It's grayish-brown with a white belly and lives in big colonies in cliff sandy river banks. It doesn't make its nest of clay or soil. In contrast to a common house martin or a barn swallow, it digs quite long holes in cliffs.
The most interesting thing about aquatic organisms is the fact that they are not at all like what grows and lives on the ground. Even the leaves of the same plants above the water and under the water are absolutely different, as if they belong to some absolutely unrelated species. I must say that there, under the water, everything looks different, absolutely different from what you see from the bank or from a boat. As if we see here some shrubs. Under the water, they turn into impassable thickets. There are real underwater gardens there. And in these gardens, everything is connected with each other, with invisible threads as well. For a layman, these are some underwater jungles. In fact, that's a most interesting world where passions run high. There are absolutely fantastic examples of symbiosis. Well, take well-known lichens. They turn out to be a symbiont formed by the algae and fungi. I mean, the species which cannot live alone, only together through a single biological system. There are a lot of examples, a lot of stories like that, even in the central part of our country, of Russia. And each story of this kind deserves a special program.